want to thank Mike Wiggins, and I don't know if Maddie's here, but thank you for hosting us on, the middle of a Saturday afternoon in what is still, we think, high season. And we really appreciate that, because I know it's right in the middle of your operations. But we're very happy to be here. We have a great program ahead of us, which we will learn more about. And I'm Linda Mack, and I am at this moment still president of the Friends of the Madeline Island Museum. And so we are here to, we have a little bit of a business meeting, and then we'll move on to our fascinating program. So we want to welcome a new board member, Mary Magnuson. So the board of directors voted Mary Magnuson to the board yesterday. Some of you may know Mary. She goes with John Appetz, and she's an attorney with the Jacobson Law Firm in, I think it's actually in St. Paul, that does a lot of work with Native American tribes. She is currently in Alaska fishing salmon, so she said she was sorry she couldn't be here, but not to. And we are also wanting to honor some of our board members who are not as active as they once were. Ed and Jenny Stringer, we are going to be naming them founding members of our board for their incredible work helping getting this organization started. So we wanted you to know about that. And we're kind of welcoming anybody who's interested to join the board. And we're kind of cleaning up our ranks a bit, and want to thank Connie Ross and Marty Curry for their service. And thank you all for being here. The one other thing that we are reporting is that Jay has been vice president, I've been president, and we're going to be just switching roles because I've been involved in the effort to kind of keep going the Madeline Island Chamber Music, and that's going to be a very ongoing concern in the next year or two. So thank you, Jay. And he's also here on the island more than I am, and already it's paid off with his just being here and making things happen. So I'm very grateful for that. I want to make sure you know our officers, Pixie, Secretary Pixie Martin, and Barb Coffin, our treasurer. It's a great group, and I'm really glad I get to keep working with them. So thank you all, and I think at that point I can turn it over to Jay. Is that right?
Are you turning it over to me to talk about?
Oh no, okay, sorry, we have reports, I'm sorry. So, Laurel, we're gonna have a few reports about our year's activities.
Thank you, and I think I can just use my teacher voice and not the microphone maybe. Can you hear me back? Okay. So we've had 4 wonderful pop-up sessions. I get to be the lucky person to sort of help organize them, and I couldn't do it without the help of the museum folks and the board members, and their volunteering, their homes, their lives, their stories, and we've had 4 wonderful pop-ups. 1 in June, 1 in July, 2 in August. So that kind of is how it stacks up. So watch for that kind of cadence for next year. But the first pop-up was Keith Soul talking at the town park, or the town hall, sorry, about his role as a town supervisor and foreman. It was fabulous. About 25 people were there. And then our second pop-up was right here at the museum, and Mike and Maddie led us all around the inside, the basement, the outside. We had a fabulous time seeing the hidden pieces of the museum that you don't get to just see. So that may be a part 2 next year. The third pop-up was Kip Dooley, and we had the most intrepid people there. There were, I think, 13 of us in the rain with the tennis courts, the history of tennis on Madeline Island. And that was right at the tennis courts, right outside, and we had exactly 13 people. And then our last pop-up was just at Dan and Barb's home about the dugout canoe. It was fascinating, and Kevin, who you will get to hear in a few moments, was able to help add a few stories into that mix. It was really wonderful, but really thank Barb and Dan for their home, and they're way out at the north end of the island. And people drove, and I think we had 29 or 30 people. It was wonderful. So thank you for your participation as friends and as volunteer board members, and I'll be looking for more pop-up ideas for next year. So thank you.
And many, many thanks to Laurel, who has really made this into a great program. Her detail, those school teacher years really have paid off.
Elementary, so I don't want to dumb this down at all.
And Jay's gonna just say a few words about the Capser Tribute, which is our big annual event.
Right. So our third annual Capster Tribute was this past summer, July 12th, the weekend of July 11th, July 12th. The speaker was Patty Lowe, and for those of you who got to hear her, you realized what an amazing speaker it was. I think this was our most successful Capser Tribute. We had over 100 people in attendance at the museum on Friday night, and then on Saturday she spoke at Flicker House, and there were actually 60 people in attendance at Flicker House. So it was truly wonderful. For those of you who were not able to hear her in person, she's available on YouTube or on the Friends website. The sound is not wonderful, but you get to appreciate her brilliance in any event. We are already beginning to talk about and think about next year's Capser Tribute. She is going to be hard to match, but we're determined to keep that bar as high as we can. So if anyone is interested in helping to plan next year's event, if anyone has ideas for speakers for next year's event, we would really welcome it. This is a tradition that we really want to keep going.
Thank you, Jay. I'm going to turn this over to Barb.
Your entry will turn around here.
Mm-hmm.
She thinks all children are around.
Okay, maybe I'll see, can you hear me if I speak up?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I'm giving the treasurer's report and the membership report. In terms of the treasurer's report, we carried forward from 2024, $14,000 and $14,134. And then the revenue we've taken in since January to now is another $12,278. Our expenses this year have been $13,300, a little bit more than the revenue we've taken in, but this is our big expense of time of year, so I'm sure we'll surpass that. In total, we have in our checking account right now $13,317, and then we have a CD, a $25,000 CD that is maturing in September. Totally, our total assets are $38,317, which is amazing because that's really just come in as donations. We haven't had a fundraising campaign focused on some particular project, which is in our future. Maybe this year we're talking with staff about projects that we might be important partners on. The membership, that's also a good story. We now have 4 years of watching a young organization grow, and at this point we have 121 households totaling 187 individuals. And last year we just had 98, so we went from 98 to 121 households, and the year before that we had 74. So you see, I had a graph. I think people it would go up. And it's impressive, so thank you all for joining. We're all having fun together, I think, yeah. And learning. Any questions? No. You can turn, yeah.
Thanks, Barb, and I'm gonna turn it over to Pixie.
So we've had a brief recapture of what we've done in 4 years. I'm going to cite a few other things that we've done, but my role is to get us moving forward with more of your help. And so very soon we're going to ask very specifically for things that you might like to contribute of your time and talent. We already appreciate your treasure. So in the past 4 years, I think we can all be extremely proud of what's happened with this organization. We were formed initially as a group in response to the Wisconsin Historical Society's effort to move the endowment from the capsters to a wider fund. And we stood to let them know there was a voice here on the island that didn't want that to happen. But we moved very quickly to create a 501c3 nonprofit organization that included our, developing a board, recruiting a board, developing an online communication presence with the help of Kate Bortel, who is continuing to get our communication things going over there. And we moved that organization from one of a much more collegial, collaborative effort. The goal being to help MIM in every way we could. They had to help the museum in any way that we could. And as Barb just mentioned, that membership grew from the individuals that have contributed as members to, you saw the numbers on the households and the membership. And that's just quite astonishing, especially on this very small island. We established programs, and you've heard reminded about the Capser tribute, but we also, and Laurel's wonderful effort on the pop-ups. We also partnered with local organizations, especially the Madeline Island Historic Preservation Association, with Flicker House, with the LaPointe Center for the Arts, and the Ferry on the school's visits program. So we're not only here standing alone, we are really working with the community. We attracted funds for support, all through donations, memberships, from ticket sales for our speakers, and from grants that we've applied for and also grants that we've received. They've been very much a part of our ability to support the museum. We hope we are supporting the museum leadership as we welcomed our wonderful site director, Mike, and Maddie, she is here, his right-hand person. And we engaged a lot of volunteers in the organization. We need to engage more. As you know, we have 4 executive committee members and now 18 board members. And we have expanded that general membership in an amazing way. But as with all organizations, you start in one place, you start to grow, and then your needs grow. And those needs include manpower. And I know you all have been a very active presence. We really need your help with hands-on support as we move forward. So we're going to be handing out, maybe you can just do that right now. Bonnie and Eric are going to give you forms to fill out with your name and your email address and indicating which of the following areas we might contact you to help us with. And when I say us, I'm really talking about the board. So as we go through these and you see them, let me elaborate a little bit about what these items are. The first thing we're going to ask you to consider is how you might be interested in helping with the planning of that Capser tribute. And just to give you an idea where support is needed, we need, first of all, support recruiting a speaker. And that recruiting and contracting and hosting a speaker really takes a lot of behind-the-scenes activity. If that's something of interest to you, we welcome you being part of that. if you just have ideas about the kind of speakers you want. So does everybody have a paper and a pen ready to go? It also includes hosting that speaker once they're here. And that includes really time involved, not just at the event, but before, after, and throughout the weekend they're here. It involves helping the committee to partner with places like Flipper House and just to develop those relationships. Volunteer activities at the museum is a whole other category. And I want to rest your concerns, say we already have a leader in this from our board, Pat Spalding, who once again apologizes for not being here this evening, but she and Mike are going to work together, and Maddie, to figure out how we as volunteers can help them. Mike, I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you have anything you might want to add to that?
But our discussions for the future will include looking at access points for volunteers from the Friends to help us. It might be interpretive work. It could be helping with keeping our box office kind of clicker as far as visitors go. But then there's also the discussions about subjectively where the Friends' interests may lie. There may be somebody in the audience right now that's really passionate about like the French fur trade influence. We can go in that direction and find, and cultivate ideas on how you can interact with the museum and our staff to become part of us and to help at the end all be all, to help our visitor experience get lifted in the highest place possible. And that's what we're after.
Terrific. And with your name and email here, Pat will contact you, as we will with these other areas. Supporting new initiatives. First of all, new ideas, your ideas. What have we not explored? What more can we as an organization do to deepen our understanding of the history of Madeline Island? And what are things of interest to you, and where can we make those connections? Those new initiatives might include getting grants for the projects that you're proposing. So that's a wide open area with all sorts of possibilities. If you've got some ideas and would like to take that in hand, please indicate, make that a checklist. You can check all of these, Anyway, the next one, the next one is the one closest to my heart. Supporting administrative needs. This can be anything from managing the ticket process online or streamlining our online financial issues to helping us distribute publications or like flyers when we're having our speaking people come. Let me just look at my notes so I'm not missing this. It can be helping with membership, fundraising, and really the hands-on daily things. I hope each of you has received a thank you note from me, but just to give you, for your donation, to give you an idea what happens internally. We get your money, we love your money. It gets deposited in a bank, it gets recorded, then there are thank you needs to go out, and we need to keep track of who is doing all of that. This is not glamorous work, but it's work that keeps the organization going. And we really would welcome support with some of those processes. So please indicate any and all of the places you might be willing and able to contribute, and put your name and email, and we will then collect these as we leave the room. Thank you all.
Thank you, Pixie, and thank you for the thank you notes. I just recently had a fundraising expert say, do not underestimate the value of a handwritten note. And so this is what Pixie does. She doesn't just push a button on the machine. So we do thank you for that. While I have the mic, I want to say thank you to Lois Carlson, who's here and just lends her welcoming spirit to the museum, and thank you for joining us. I think, Jade, I can turn it over to you.
Great. So